primacy is established, which essentially is if a business owner is looking at how he's going to run his business, stockholder primacy means that he has to look at what's best for the stockholders before he looks at what's best for the employees. So if you were going to give your employees a raise, but your stockholders didn't like it and they weren't going to benefit financially, you'd have to not give them that raise legally. Yeah, so it's just values building on themselves. It's kind of an avalanche at this point.
And as if that wasn't bad enough, we have the 19th Amendment, which is interesting because, yeah, it's awesome. Women get the right to vote, but they're not humans yet. Technically under law, and during the 19th Amendment passing in 1920, it won't be for another maybe 40 or 50 years before America declares them as human beings.
Right. Corporations were people years and years, like decades, before women were considered people constitutionally.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't change that until 1971.
1971.
So that's crazy to
That's
think
right.
that.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely absurd. Yeah.
And one reason why women got put into some of the Civil Rights Act is because the Southern lawmakers, they wanted to make the civil rights fail, so they put women in there thinking, oh, they won't vote for women's rights. So women realize that white men hate you more than they hate black men, and you might want to think about that.
But that becomes a whole other argument. They pitted two oppressed groups against
They
each
always
other.
do that.
Right, which is disgusting. So don't get into the competition of that, because you're playing right into their hands.
Oh, I wasn't trying to. I'm
No,
just saying. I'm just saying the context is they wanted to make the civil rights look bad, so they threw women in there to make it look even more worse than giving black people rights.
Yeah, definitely true.
Yeah, it's a messed up world for sure. So this was just really interesting. They're letting objects vote is literally what that's saying. And that sounds really terrible, like property, because women are still seen as property in 1920. So it was a really kind of disturbing fact that these massive greedy industries can have rights before us. So yeah, and then we move on to let's see, Louis K. Liggett versus Lee. This was interesting. Do you want to explain this one, Sarah? You kind of understand this a little better than me.
This one is the one, if you are in a small town and a Walmart is coming in, this is the reason that you can't stop them, which I'm sure you guys have heard of in a bunch of your towns. Like a Walmart comes in and small businesses freak out. You can't stop them. It's because of this. It's because they decided that in Florida they couldn't put a higher tax on a corporation like Walmart. Not that Walmart existed, but a corporation like that, a giant. They couldn't put a higher tax on them because they were a person, and that's not fair. So that's why that still exists today, and that's why there's that precedent.
So ridiculous. Oh man. All right, so now we're moving on. Grosjean versus American Press Company. This happened, let's see, so this was the newspaper corporation's First Amendment liberty right to freedom of speech. So this is the first time that a corporation gets kind of their freedom of speech rights laid out for them. So now they've gotten, another human right, and they're kind of...
This was just newspapers, and then in a couple of years they get full free speech, like a human being would. And also included in that is essentially the right to lie. There's a stipulation in there that because they are a person, they can't be sued for saying something untrue. So if they lie in an advertisement, it's not illegal because they're a person. It's not. According to constitutionally, what we learned this weekend, they can lie legally based on constitutional rights because they're a person.
Yep.
Then again, we only had 2 days of education. So if you want to look into this further and get back to me with some info, I'd love it, because I'm going to do research too. But based on the information we got this weekend, he said that yes, they can lie legally because constitutionally they're a person. It's not illegal for a person to lie.
Mm-hmm. Nick, did you have a question?
Yeah, who told you about the legally that they can lie? Because,
Paul
obviously I've seen that a lot,
Cienfuegos.
but what about stuff like Enron?
Right.
Well, that's
getting
different.
into a
That's
whole nother-
fraud. Fraud's
that's-
different
Which
than
is-
lying. Legally.
It also
Oh,
depends
okay,
how
yeah,
it affects the
legal,
person
okay.
you're lying to. If you lie and it causes harmfulness or death, then
Then
Or
it's
it
a
could be
criminal
like to your
case.
then it's a
stockholders,
criminal
so
case.
you're
But if
saying
you
all
lie
this
and it's
is
just
illegal.
lying to lie and it causes nothing else, buy my product.
Yeah, defrauding the public and defrauding your shareholders is different.
Yeah, that's right.
It's sad, but taken more seriously.
Stockholder primacy.
Which is
Right there.